We all know now that Black Lives Matter. But have you ever wondered how Islam was the first religion to say there is no room for discrimination in our religion, and how a black man, and also a slave, was given the highest place in Islam and was among one of the closest companions of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him? Who was this man with a beautiful voice, who was also the first one to give adhan? Let us find out. Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel, Naseeha Studio. Today, in this video, the story we will be talking about one of the Habshi slaves who turned into one of the greatest companions of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and who became the first to give azan, calling people for praying. Early life and enslavement. Hazrat Bilal ibn Rabāḥ was born in the bustling city of Mecca around the late 6th century. His father, Rabāḥ, was an Abyssinian slave who had been brought to the Arabian Peninsula in the chains of his captivity, and his mother, Hamama, was also a slave. This lineage predetermined Bilal's status in society. Born into slavery, his early life was marked by hardship and limited prospects. The society into which Bilal was born was deeply hierarchical and tribal, with lineage and race determining one's position and opportunities. The Arabs of Mecca, largely engaged in trade, held complex views on race and class, often showcasing a blend of pragmatism and deep-seated tribal prejudices. For slaves like Bilal, this meant a life of servitude and marginalization, with few avenues for escape or advancement. Despite these constraints, Bilal's early years were not devoid of personal development. Historical accounts suggest that he was exposed to the diverse cultures and languages of the traders and travelers who frequented Mecca, a major commercial hub. This exposure likely contributed to his distinct personality, marked by a keen intellect and a sense of justice, which distinguished him even among the free men of Mecca. As a young man, Bilal's life took a harsh turn when he was sold to Umayyah ibn Khalaf, a wealthy and influential Meccan merchant. Umayyah was known for his staunch opposition to any disruption of the social and religious order of Mecca, which he believed was integral to its economic prosperity. Under Umayyah's ownership, Bilal experienced the brutality of slavery firsthand. He was tasked with arduous work and subjected to the whims of his master's temper. Conversion to Islam. In the early 7th century, Mecca was not only a thriving trade center, but also a melting pot of religious beliefs. It was in this environment that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, a respected merchant and a member of the Quraysh tribe, began to preach a new religion, Islam. This religion called for monotheism and preached equality among all individuals, challenging the prevailing social norms and the polytheistic beliefs of the Quraysh leadership. Bilal first heard of Muhammad's teachings during the early phase of the prophetic mission. The message of Islam, which proclaimed the oneness of God and the inherent equality of all humans regardless of race or status, resonated deeply with him. For Bilal, the Islamic tenet that all believers were equal before God was particularly impactful, offering a stark contrast to the social hierarchy that had defined his life as a slave. The decision to convert to Islam was fraught with danger for Bilal. As a slave, his conversion was not only an act of religious faith but also a subtle rebellion against the social order. Nevertheless, drawn by the promise of spiritual equality and personal dignity, Bilal secretly accepted Islam, becoming one of the earliest converts. Bilal's new faith quickly became the most defining aspect of his identity. He found solace and strength in his prayers and in the small, close-knit community of early Muslims who met in secret to avoid persecution. These believers, many of whom were also socially marginalized, supported one another and grew in their commitment to their faith under the guidance of Prophet Muhammad. However, Bilal's conversion did not remain secret for long. As the number of converts grew and the teachings of Islam began to threaten the traditional religious and economic foundations of Meccan society, the Quraysh elites started to clamp down on the followers of Muhammad. Slaves, unprotected by tribal affiliations, faced the most severe repercussions for their apostasy. Bilal, known for his unyielding demeanor and deep voice, became a particular target for retribution by his master, Umayyah ibn Khalaf, who was determined to crush his newfound faith. Despite the oppressive conditions, Bilal's spirit remained unbroken. His experiences only deepened his inner resolve and his longing for a sense of justice and equality. It was this resilience and strength of character that prepared him for the transformative encounter with the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, which would soon change the course of his life. Persecution. Bilal's conversion to Islam quickly drew the ire of his master, Umayyah ibn Khalaf, a prominent and wealthy leader among the Quraysh, who viewed the new religion as a direct threat to the socio-political structure and religious traditions of Mecca. Umayyah, like many of his peers, was particularly hostile to Islam's denunciation of idolatry and its call for social reform. For Umayyah, Bilal's faith represented not only a personal betrayal, but also a potential destabilization of the existing order which benefited him. As punishment for his conversion, Bilal was subjected to extreme tortures. Umayyah and his allies would take Bilal out into the desert at the peak of the scorching midday heat, where they would force him to lie on the burning sand. They placed heavy stones on his chest, making it nearly impossible for him to breathe, in an effort to compel him to renounce his new faith. Despite the excruciating pain, Bilal's faith remained firm. His resilience was encapsulated in his repeated cry of Ahad, Ahad, one, one, affirming his unwavering belief in the oneness of God. Bilal's plight became emblematic of the struggle faced by many early Muslims, particularly those without tribal protection. His endurance and refusal to recant under torture inspired both his fellow Muslims and later generations. It highlighted the profound spiritual conviction and bravery of the early followers of Islam, who were willing to endure severe hardships for their beliefs. His perseverance under persecution did not go unnoticed. Word of his suffering reached the broader community in Mecca, including the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his close companions. Moved by Bilal's steadfastness and pained by the cruelty inflicted upon him, Abu Bakr, a wealthy merchant and one of the Prophet's earliest and most trusted companions, intervened on Bilal's behalf. Recognizing the injustice Bilal endured and motivated by Islamic teachings on the equality and dignity of all people, Abu Bakr decided to purchase Bilal's freedom. The act of emancipating Bilal was a significant moment, not only in Bilal's life, but also within the early Muslim community. It was a profound declaration of the Islamic values of social justice and human dignity. Bilal's liberation from physical bondage was emblematic of the broader spiritual liberation that Islam sought to offer all individuals, emphasizing the breaking of societal chains and the establishment of a community founded upon equality before God. This moment also marked the beginning of a new chapter in Bilal's life, as he would soon rise to become one of the most revered figures in Islam. Emancipation. Bilal's ongoing persecution drew the attention of Abu Bakr, who was deeply moved by the harsh treatments Bilal endured. Abu Bakr, known for his compassion and influence, was already a prominent figure in the nascent Muslim community and a close confidant of Prophet Muhammad. The plight of Bilal, highlighting the cruelty inherent in the institution of slavery, struck a chord with Abu Bakr's strong sense of justice, guided by his Islamic faith. Determined to intervene, Abu Bakr approached Umayyah ibn Khalaf with an offer to buy Bilal's freedom. Umayyah, seeing an opportunity to profit and underestimating Bilal's importance to the Muslim community, agreed to the sale. The price set was a considerable sum, demonstrating both the extent of Abu Bakr's commitment to his faith and his willingness to use his wealth for righteous causes. By purchasing Bilal's freedom, Abu Bakr was not just rescuing a fellow Muslim from torture, but also making a powerful statement against the oppressive structures of Meccan society. The moment of Bilal's emancipation was significant. When the deal was struck, Abu Bakr declared that Bilal was free from the bonds of slavery. This act of manumission was one of the first of its kind among the Muslims and symbolized the Islamic condemnation of racial and social inequality. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, himself reinforced this message, emphasizing the brotherhood among Muslims, regardless of their racial or social backgrounds. Freed from slavery, Bilal joined the Muslim community as a full and respected member. His liberation marked the start of a remarkable transformation, as he soon became an integral part of the religious and community life in Medina. His deep, resonant voice, which had once cried out in suffering, now found a new purpose. Recognizing Bilal's steadfast faith and his distinctive voice, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, appointed him as the community's first muezzin, the caller to prayer. This role was not only a religious position, but also a symbol of honor and trust. Bilal's call to prayer, the adhan, would come to signify not only the time for worship, but also the presence of a community united in faith and purpose. Bilal's story from enslavement to emancipation and beyond reflects the transformative power of Islam in addressing social injustices. His life serves as a testament to the Islamic values of human dignity, equality, and justice. Through his journey, Bilal remains a symbol of resilience and spiritual conviction, inspiring generations of believers to uphold these ideals. Bilal in Medina. Following his emancipation, Bilal migrated with the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and other Muslims to Medina, an event known as the Hijrah. This migration marked a pivotal moment in Islamic history, signifying the establishment of a new, cohesive Muslim community under the leadership of the Prophet. In Medina, Bilal not only found physical safety, but also a significant role in the growing Muslim society. In Medina, Bilal's presence and contributions grew increasingly important. As the first muezzin, he held a crucial religious position. His duties involved calling the believers to prayer 5 times a day, a practice that helped to unify and regulate the religious life of the community. The adhan, or call to prayer, that Bilal initiated remains one of the most powerful symbols of Islamic faith, resonating through cities and towns across the Muslim world today. Bilal's role extended beyond his duties as a muezzin. He was also trusted with important state responsibilities, indicative of his high standing and the respect he garnered within the community. He was involved in the administration of the zakat, a form of almsgiving treated in Islam as a religious obligation or tax, which underlines the community's commitment to supporting its needy and establishing economic justice. Additionally, Bilal participated actively in key battles alongside the Prophet, including the Battle of Badr, the first major battle fought by the Muslims. His involvement in these battles was not only a demonstration of his martial courage, but also of his dedication to the defense and establishment of the Muslim community in Medina. Bilal's influence and respect in the community were also reflected in his personal interactions with the Prophet Muhammad. He was known to have a close relationship with the Prophet, who regarded Bilal as a brother in faith. This relationship underscored the profound level of trust and affection that the Prophet had for Bilal, which transcended the former social prejudices of pre-Islamic Arabian society. In Medina, Bilal's story became a powerful narrative of redemption and social transformation. His journey from slavery to becoming a revered member of the community embodied the Islamic ideals of human equality, justice, and the redemptive power of faith. Bilal's life in Medina illustrates how the early Muslim community sought to live out these values, with Bilal's prominent role as a testament to the possibility of change and the importance of inclusivity in Islam. The Battle of Badr. The Battle of Badr, fought in 624 AD, was the first major military engagement between the Muslims and the Quraysh of Mecca. This battle was not only a pivotal moment in the history of Islam, but also a profound personal chapter in Bilal's life, marking his transition from a victim of persecution to a defender of his faith. As tensions escalated between the Muslims in Medina and the Quraysh in Mecca, the latter prepared to confront the Muslims to curb their growing power. The Battle of Badr occurred when a Quraysh caravan, richly laden with goods, was returning from Syria to Mecca. The Muslims saw intercepting this caravan as a strategic move to weaken the Quraysh economically and assert their strength. However, the caravan escaped, and the Quraysh forces, much larger in number, advanced towards Badr, leading to the confrontation. Bilal was among the 313 Muslims who marched to Badr, under-equipped but determined to defend their community. The significance of this battle for Bilal was profound. It symbolized his complete break from his past oppression as he stood ready to fight the very forces that had enslaved and tortured him. One of the most emotional moments for Bilal during the battle was his encounter with his former master, Umayyah ibn Khalaf. Umayyah, who had inflicted severe tortures on Bilal, was among the Meccan combatants. The sight of Umayyah on the battlefield was a stark reminder of the cruelty Bilal had endured, and now, as a free man and a warrior, he faced his past oppressor. Bilal's participation in the battle was marked by personal courage and a deep commitment to his faith. The Muslims, despite being outnumbered and less equipped, won a decisive victory at Badr. This victory was attributed to their strategic prowess and divine support, and it significantly boosted the morale and standing of the Muslim community. The aftermath of the battle saw the capture of many Quraysh leaders, including Umayyah ibn Khalaf. Bilal was involved in the confrontation that led to Umayyah's death, an act that was not just seen as an act of war, but also as a symbolic moment of justice for Bilal. This moment was emblematic of the reversal of fortunes for Bilal, from a powerless slave to a key player in a victorious army. The Battle of Badr had far-reaching implications for Bilal and the Muslim community. It established them as a formidable force in the Arabian Peninsula and underscored the commitment of its members to their faith and community. For Bilal, the battle was a personal testament to his transformation and the justice that Islam sought to uphold. It marked his complete liberation from the past and solidified his role as a respected leader within the Muslim community. The conquest of Mecca. The conquest of Mecca in 630 AD was one of the most significant events in Islamic history, symbolizing the triumph of Islam over the pagan beliefs of the Quraysh. For Bilal, this event was not just a strategic victory, but also a deeply personal culmination of his journey from slavery to freedom. After years of conflict and negotiation, the Muslim forces, now significantly stronger and more numerous, marched towards Mecca. The conquest was remarkably bloodless, with the Meccans offering little resistance, partly due to the overwhelming size of the Muslim army and partly because of strategic pardons offered by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, which encouraged peaceful surrender. One of the most iconic moments of the conquest, and indeed in Bilal's life, occurred when he was given the honor of climbing atop the Kaaba to call the Muslims to prayer. This act was laden with profound symbolic significance. The Kaaba, which had been the center of pagan worship, was now being reclaimed as a monotheistic house of worship. For Bilal, once deemed the lowest in Meccan society, because of his status as a slave, to stand upon the Kaaba and issue the call to prayer was a powerful statement of the egalitarian and redemptive spirit of Islam. Bilal's voice, which had endured through his declarations of faith under torture, now rang out over Mecca, declaring the oneness of God and the unity of the believers. This moment was not only a personal victory for Bilal, but also a public affirmation of the values for which he had suffered so much: faith, equality, and justice. The emotional impact of this event on Bilal and those who witnessed it was immense. It underscored the dramatic reversal of the social order in Mecca. Those who had once persecuted and enslaved others were now witnessing a former slave leading a sacred ritual in the most sacred of cities. Bilal's actions during the conquest exemplified the transformative power of Islam and its ability to uplift the downtrodden and marginalized. Furthermore, the conquest of Mecca solidified Islam's position in Arabia and began a new era of Islamic consolidation and expansion. For Bilal, it marked the peak of his spiritual and social journey, from the depths of despair to the heights of spiritual fulfillment and societal respect. The conquest of Mecca was a defining chapter in Bilal's life, symbolizing the ultimate victory of his faith and the enduring principles of Islam that had guided his transformation. His story, particularly during this momentous event, remains a powerful testament to the capacity of faith to transcend personal and societal limitations. Later life and legacy. After the emotional and spiritual pinnacle of calling the faithful to prayer from atop the Kaaba, Bilal found himself at a crossroads as the Islamic community continued to grow and evolve. Following the death of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in 632 AD, Bilal was deeply affected by the loss of his beloved leader and guide. His grief was so profound that he felt unable to continue his duties as the muezzin in Medina, a role that he associated closely with the Prophet's presence. Seeking a new beginning and perhaps a way to manage his sorrow, Bilal decided to leave Medina. He joined the Muslim armies moving into Syria, a region then under the Byzantine rule, where he participated in further military campaigns. These campaigns were crucial in expanding the reach of Islam into new territories and securing the nascent Islamic State's borders. In Syria, Bilal continued to play a vital role, not just as a warrior, but also as a respected elder in the Muslim community. His experience and deep spiritual insight were invaluable in the governance and administration of the newly conquered lands. Despite his high status and the respect he commanded, Bilal rarely led the call to prayer in his later years, reserving this sacred duty for special occasions stating that he could not bear to do so regularly after the Prophet's death. One such occasion, as recorded in Islamic tradition, was at the request of the Prophet's grandchildren, Hassan and Hussein, in Damascus. This event was a poignant reminder of his cherished memories with the Prophet and highlighted the deep connections he maintained with the Prophet's family. Bilal passed away in Damascus in 640 AD, and his death marked the end of a life that had been transformed from the depths of slavery to the heights of spiritual and communal leadership. He was remembered not only for his voice, which had called the faithful to prayer, but also for his steadfast character, his unwavering faith, and his profound commitment to justice and equality. Legacy. Bilal's legacy continues to resonate within the Muslim world and beyond. He is revered as one of the most prominent and respected companions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his life story is often cited as a powerful example of the Islamic teachings on racial equality, social justice, and personal redemption. In addition to his historical and religious significance, Bilal's story has been a source of inspiration for many movements across history that advocate for social justice and equality. His name and story have been evoked in contexts as varied as the US civil rights movement and contemporary discussions on race and equity within the Muslim community. Through literature, film, and various forms of art, Bilal's narrative continues to be explored and celebrated, reflecting the enduring impact of his journey from slavery to freedom, from marginalization to a central role in shaping a new spiritual and social order. His legacy is a testament to the transformative power of faith and the enduring human struggle for dignity and equality. Death and remembrance. Bilāl ibn Rabāḥ passed away in 640 AD in Damascus, Syria, where he had spent the latter part of his life. His death marked the conclusion of a life that had seen the most profound transformations, from the chains of slavery to the heights of spiritual and communal respect within the early Muslim community. At the time of his death, Bilal was surrounded by a community that deeply respected and revered him for his contributions, his steadfast faith, and his unyielding commitment to the principles of Islam. He was buried in Damascus, and his grave became a site of remembrance and respect, reflecting his enduring legacy within the Islamic tradition. Legacy and impact. Bilal's death did not diminish his influence or the deep affection in which he was held. Over the centuries, his life story has continued to inspire Muslims and non-Muslims alike, embodying the universal values of freedom, equality, and justice. Number 1. Symbol of equality and justice. Bilal is often remembered as a symbol of the fight against racial and social discrimination. His rise from slavery to a position of high respect within the Muslim community exemplifies Islam's teachings on human equality and social justice. Number 2. The voice of Islam. As Islam's first muezzin, Bilal's voice calling the faithful to prayer symbolizes the call to worship and the unity of Muslims. His role in establishing the adhan as a fundamental practice in Islam is celebrated, and his legacy in this regard is particularly poignant, resonating through the daily lives of billions of Muslims around the world. Number 3. Cultural and historical icon. Bilal's story has been retold in many forms, including literature, films, and plays, highlighting his significance as a cultural and historical icon. His life serves as a powerful narrative in discussions about civil rights and social reform, appealing to universal ideals of liberty and equality. Number 4. Educational influence. Bilal's life is often used in educational contexts to teach about the early history of Islam, the importance of resilience, and the impact of individuals on societal changes. His story is a tool for teaching both historical facts and moral lessons about overcoming adversity through faith and determination. Bilal's remembrance goes beyond historical accounts. It continues to inspire actions and reflections on the nature of justice, the importance of steadfast faith, and the capacity for forgiveness and transformation. His legacy, as preserved in Islamic tradition and global historical consciousness, serves as a beacon of hope and a guide for future generations seeking to emulate his virtues in their lives and communities. Special events and moments with Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Hazrat Bilal ibn Rabāḥ shared several significant events and moments with Prophet Muhammad that highlight their deep spiritual connection and Bilal's importance in the early Muslim community. Here are some of the key interactions and events that exemplify their relationship. Number 1. Emancipation by Abu Bakr on Prophet Muhammad's advice. One of the most pivotal moments in Bilal's life was his emancipation. Witnessing Bilal's suffering due to his faith, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was deeply moved. He inspired Abu Bakr, who was also one of his closest companions, to buy Bilal's freedom. This act not only liberated Bilal, but also set a profound example of the Islamic principles of freedom and equality. Number 2. Appointment as the first muezzin. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, personally chose Bilal to be the Muslim community's first muezzin because of his deep, resonant voice and strong faith. This selection was significant as it placed Bilal in a highly visible and important role, demonstrating the Prophet's disregard for social hierarchy and his emphasis on piety and dedication to Islam. Number 3. Calling the Adhan in Medina. After the Hijrah to Medina, Bilal was given the honor to call the Adhan, the Islamic call to prayer. This was not just a functional role, but a symbolically powerful position, signaling the establishment of Islam in Medina and the importance of unity within the Muslim community. Number 4. The conquest of Mecca. During the conquest of Mecca, Bilal was given the honor of ascending the Kaaba to call the Adhan. This event was highly symbolic, marking the victory of Islam in Mecca, the heart of the Arabian Peninsula. For Bilal, this was a moment of personal triumph over the injustices he had endured, and it demonstrated Prophet Muhammad's, peace be upon him, trust and respect for him. Number 5. Standing by the Prophet in battles. Bilal stood alongside Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in several key battles, including the Battle of Badr. His participation was not only as a combatant, but also as a spiritual motivator who helped bolster the morale of his fellow Muslims through his steadfastness and bravery. Number 6. Deep emotional bond. The relationship between Bilal and Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was marked by deep, mutual respect and affection. After the Prophet's, peace be upon him, death, Bilal found it emotionally difficult to continue his duties as muezzin in Medina, which reflected the profound bond between them. Bilal eventually moved to Syria, where he continued to serve the Muslim community, but he only performed the Adhan on very few occasions, highlighting the emotional impact of his memories with the Prophet, peace be upon him. These moments and events reflect not only the significant role Bilal played within the early days of Islam, but also the profound and respectful relationship he had with Prophet Muhammad. Each instance illustrates the transformative and inclusive spirit of Islam, with Bilal's life serving as a testament to the faith's foundational values of justice, equality, and community. Hazrat Bilal ibn Rabāḥ's life story is a profound narrative that transcends time and geography, offering lessons of faith, resilience, and transformation that continue to resonate today. From the depths of enslavement in Mecca to becoming one of the most revered figures in Islam, his journey is a testament to the power of conviction and the human spirit's capacity to overcome tremendous adversity. Bilal's conversion to Islam, amidst the harsh socio-political landscape of 7th century Arabia, marked the beginning of his transformation. His enduring faith, even under severe persecution, highlighted his extraordinary character and commitment to his beliefs. His emancipation by Abu Bakr, a key moment in Islamic history, underscored the religion's rejection of racial and social inequities, championing a message of universal dignity and equality. As the first muezzin of Islam, Bilal's voice became synonymous with the call to prayer, a ritual that unites Muslims in worship across the world to this day. His role in the Battle of Badr and the conquest of Mecca further cemented his status not only as a spiritual figure, but also as a brave and strategic warrior who played a crucial part in the establishment of the Muslim community. In his later years and through his death, Bilal left a legacy that continues to teach and inspire. His life is a source of motivation for those who seek to fight against injustice and advocate for equality and human rights. His story is utilized in various cultural, educational, and religious contexts, demonstrating the enduring relevance of his experiences and the universal values he stood for. Bilāl ibn Rabāḥ, once a man in chains, became a beacon of hope and faith, echoing through the ages as a symbol of the transformative power of belief and the enduring human struggle for dignity and equality. His story, rich with themes of redemption, courage, and devotion, remains a powerful inspiration, reminding us of the impact one individual can have in shaping a more just and equitable society. Thanks for tuning in to today's video. If you enjoyed this video and found it interesting, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more content celebrating the Islamic heritage. Your support really helps spread these important stories and teachings. We hope that Allah brings peace, happiness, and success to you and your family.